Let us continue hydrogen bonding intermolecular forces. We will take para-hydroxybenzaldehyde, para-hydroxybenzaldehyde. Para-hydroxybenzaldehyde formula is this one. Another para-hydroxybenzaldehyde will take another molecule. Another molecule we have taken. Now, this is high electronegative atom. It is having partial negative. It is hydrogen attached to high electronegative atom, partial positive. It is partial negative, high electronegative atom. It is hydrogen attached to high electronegative atom is having partial positive charge. Between them, hydrogen bond is possible. This hydrogen bond is possible between two molecules. Therefore, it is intermolecular hydrogen bonding. It is called intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Next, we will take orthohydroxybenzaldehyde. Orthohydroxybenzaldehyde. Orthohydroxybenzaldehyde will take a benzene ring, here OH group, here CHO group. Now give partial charges. Oxygen is high electronegative, partial negative. Hydrogen is partial positive because it is attached to high electronegative atom. Between this partial positive and partial negative, attraction is possible. It is called a hydrogen bonding. This attraction is called hydrogen bonding. Here hydrogen bonding is possible within a molecule. This hydrogen bonding is possible between these two groups of a molecule. Therefore, it is a intramolecular hydrogen bonding. It is intramolecular hydrogen bonding. It is intermolecular hydrogen bonding, we can say. So, now, how the boiling points will be there? What is the boiling point of para-hydroxy and ortho-hydroxy, that we will see. This boiling point and this boiling point we will see. Here, between molecules, hydrogen bonding is there. But what about here? Here between molecules, hydrogen bonding is there. But what about here? That we will see. Here we will take another hydroxybenzaldehyde will take. Another hydroxybenzaldehyde will take. Another hydroxybenzaldehyde. Now, between this hydrogen and this oxygen, hydrogen bonding is possible. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding is possible. Between this molecule and this molecule, what is the force of attraction? In the sense, Van der Waals force of attraction. Van der Waals force of attraction is possible. So between molecules, Van der Waals force of attraction, it is weak. So that means here intermolecular force strength is low. Here between molecules, intermolecular force is hydrogen bonding. Therefore, intermolecular force strength is high. Now, to convert liquid into vapor, to convert this liquid into vapor, this hydrogen bond has to be broken. To convert this liquid into vapor, this Van der Waals force has to be broken. So weak intermolecular force we have to break to convert liquid into gas. Strong intermolecular force has to be broken to convert liquid into vapor. Therefore, here we can say more energy required to break this strong intermolecular force. Here less energy required to break this weak intermolecular force. Therefore, here boiling point is high, here boiling point is low. Therefore, intramolecular hydrogen bonding means boiling point is low. Intermolecular hydrogen bonding means boiling point is high, we can say. Next. What about their solubility in water? What about their solubility in water? That point we'll see. Solubility in water. Set. So for that case, now we will consider water. Now we will consider here water. We will consider water is a polar solvent. Water is a polar solvent. Therefore, partial positive, partial negative. Here partial negative. Here hydrogen bonding is possible. Due to hydrogen bonding, due to intermolecular hydrogen bonding, that means this para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is hydrogen bonding with water. Therefore intermolecular force with water is high. Para hydroxybenzaldehyde is making hydrogen bonding with the water molecule. Set. What about in orthohydroxybenzaldehyde? Here we will write water molecule, we will write. Wherever we want, we can write water molecule, we can write. Here what happens means, this aldehyde group, in this aldehyde group, this CHO is aldehyde group, this OH is alcoholic group. In this OH group H, in this aldehyde group oxygen, between them hydrogen bond is possible. This oxygen is not going for hydrogen bonding with the water molecule, because between these two, between this oxygen and hydrogen, between this oxygen of aldehyde and hydrogen of OH, distance is low when compared with water. Therefore here intramolecular hydrogen bonding is possible. This aldehyde is not making hydrogen bonding with water. Similarly this OH is not making hydrogen bonding with water. Why? Because between these two groups distance is less. Therefore between these two groups hydrogen bonding is possible. So orthohydroxybenzaldehyde is making intramolecular hydrogen bonding but not making hydrogen bonding with water. Orthohydroxybenzaldehyde is not making hydrogen bonding with water. Therefore orthohydroxybenzaldehyde is having less intermolecular force with water, whereas para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is making hydrogen bonding with water. Therefore para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is having higher intermolecular force with water. Therefore para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is attracting water to higher extent, whereas ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde is attracting water to lesser extent. Therefore para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is having higher solubility in water. It is having higher solubility in water, whereas orthohydroxybenzaldehyde is having lesser solubility in water. This orthohydroxybenzaldehyde is having lesser solubility in water, whereas para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is having higher solubility in water. Okay, so we said solubility in water. How they are soluble in water, that we said. Okay. Next we will see steam distillation. We'll see. Next we are seeing steam distillation. So what is a distillation? First we will see what is distillation. Then we will go for steam distillation. We will see. Okay. First we will go for a distillation. First we will go for distillation. Distillation in the sense separation. Distillation or steam distillation. These are for what? In the sense separation of components. So if mixture of components are there, in order to separate them, we can use this distillation cell. Now mixture of compounds in the sense, how the mixture of compounds will be there. Suppose suppose A is solid mixed with B solid. Okay, this is a mixture. We will separate A and B. A and B we can separate by some method. So suppose A is solid, B is liquid. A is soluble in B. A is soluble in B. A is soluble in B. Okay, now A and B are mixed. To separate A and B, we can separate A and B by some method. Suppose A is liquid, B also liquid. A is liquid, B also liquid. Now this boiling point, suppose A boiling point is 200 degrees Celsius, B boiling point is 300 degrees Celsius. A boiling point is 200 degrees Celsius, B boiling point is 300 degrees Celsius. To separate them, what we have to do? Okay, we will separate them. This liquid A and liquid B we will separate by the method called distillation. Sir, how to separate them, that we will see. How to separate liquid A and liquid B by distillation method, that we will see. Now we are taking one vessel, we are taking like this. It is called a round bottom flask. In this round bottom flask, what we are taking means this mixture we are taking. This liquid A plus liquid B, this mixture we are taking. Then here one tube is fixed here. Here we are keeping one tube. Here we are keeping one tube and it is closed. We are closing this. We have closed this one. Okay. Then this tube we are keeping. Next tube, next tube is like this. Next tube we have placed like this. Then water circulation. Water circulation. Here water circulation. Here water inlet. Water inlet. Here if you see water outlet. Water outlet. Then here vessel. Okay. Now this mixture is heated. This mixture is heated. So what will happen? Temperature of this liquid mixture goes on rising. When the temperature reaches 200 degrees Celsius, when the temperature reaches 200 degrees Celsius, liquid A evaporates. When temperature reaches 200 degrees Celsius, liquid A evaporates. Therefore, liquid A is converting into vapor. So liquid A is converting into vapor. That vapor is coming like this, coming like this. The vapor is coming like this and coming to here. Due to water circulation, liquid vapor A converts to liquid A. That liquid A comes like this and will be collected here. Liquid A will be collected here. Here what will be the remaining? B will be the remaining here. So what is remaining here? That is called the residue. What we have collected here, that is called distillate. This process is called distillation. We can call this process is distillation. That means this mixture of liquids is separated by this method. By this method we have separated. So what is steam distillation? That we will see. What is steam distillation? That we will see. Now let us take liquid A. Plus impurities are there. Plus impurities are there. Okay. Impurities are there. Liquid A is present and impurities present. Impurities may be in liquid state or solid state, whatever it may be. Okay. Now, to this, what we are passing in the sense, we are passing steam. To this, we are passing steam. At the steam temperature, A should evaporate but not impurities. A should evaporate but not impurities. Like this should be there. Okay. Sorry. Now that arrangement we will see. Now we will take a round bottom flask. We will take in this one tube we are placing like this. One tube we are placing in this way. One tube we are placing like this. Next, here what we are taking means liquid A plus impurities. Impurities. Okay. Here what we are passing means we are passing steam. Okay. Here water circulation. Water circulation here. Here water outlet. Sorry. We are passing steam. Now we will say that A evaporates at steam temperature. At steam temperature. Impurity does not evaporate. Impurity does not evaporate at steam temperature. A evaporates at steam temperature, but impurity does not evaporate at steam temperature. Okay. Therefore, what alone will come in the sense A will come here. A will come here. A will come here. Vapor A, that is liquefying, and we are getting here what in the sense liquid A we are getting. Liquid A we are getting. Along with the liquid A, even steam also will come. Steam also coming here, and that steam is getting liquefied, and we are getting H2O liquid. H2O liquid. Okay. So impurities left behind here. After the process, impurities will be here, A will be here. This A and water, we have to separate it. How A and water should be there means they should be immiscible. They should be immiscible. Sir, they are immiscible in the sense how they will be present. How they will be present in the sense, suppose A is present here in the sense H2O liquid will be present like this. It is one possibility. Otherwise, reverse. So we can separate A and water. This process is called steam distillation. Steam distillation we can say. Now we will take this is para-hydroxybenzaldehyde. It is ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde. Now we will see regarding a steam distillation. We'll see how steam distillation will be there. That we'll see. This para-hydroxybenzaldehyde goes for intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Therefore, for para-hydroxybenzaldehyde, intermolecular force of attraction is high. Therefore, volatility is low. Volatility is low. Volatility means escaping to vapor state, tendency to escape to vapor state. This ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde undergoes intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Between two molecules, weak van der Waals force is possible. Therefore, intermolecular force is less. Therefore, volatility is high. Volatility is high for ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde. So, for ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde, volatility is high. For para-hydroxybenzaldehyde, volatility is low. Okay. Therefore, since the intermolecular force of attraction is high, this boiling point is high. Since the intermolecular force of attraction is weak van der Waals force, this boiling point is low. Then, para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is miscible with water. Para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is miscible with water, whereas ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde is immiscible with water. Immiscible with water. This ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde is immiscible with water. Immiscible with water. Ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde is immiscible with water. Now, steam distillation. If you pass steam into para-hydroxybenzaldehyde, it is not evaporating. If you pass steam into ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde, it is evaporating. So it is volatile with steam. This is volatile with steam, whereas para is not volatile with steam. Ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde is immiscible with water, whereas para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is miscible with water. Therefore, for which case steam distillation possible, for which is not possible, you think it. Okay, steam distillation means what? It has to be vaporized. It has to be vaporized with the steam temperature, and it should be immiscible with the steam. It should be immiscible with water. Like this, it should be there. So, steam distillation means for which steam distillation is possible in the sense one which evaporates with the steam but immiscible with the water. Like this should be there. Now, if we take ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde, it is immiscible with water. Para-hydroxybenzaldehyde is miscible with water. It is not evaporating with the steam, but ortho is evaporating with the steam. Therefore, ortho-hydroxybenzaldehyde can be taken for steam distillation, whereas para-hydroxybenzaldehyde cannot be taken for steam distillation. Sir. Next point we will see in hydrogen bonding. HF2 minus exists, while HCl2 minus does not. HCl2 minus does not. HF2 minus is existing, but HCl2 minus is not existing. HF2 minus is existing, but HCl2 minus is not existing. What is the reason? That we will see. This HF2 minus, we can write it as HF2 minus, we can write it as like this. HF plus F minus gives HF2 minus. How to prepare this in the sense, HF with NaF gives NaHF2. This is possible. But HCl with NaCl, HCl with NaCl, NaHCl2 not possible. This is not possible. HCl with NaCl, we cannot get NaHCl2. But HF with NaF gives NaHF2. HF with NaF gives NaHF2, but HCl with NaCl does not give NaHCl2. Therefore, HF2 minus is existing, but HCl2 minus is not existing. Sir, HF2 minus existing means, what is the reaction you see? HF with F minus gives HF2 minus. That means HF will take, F minus will take. Between them, HF combines with F minus. Why is it so? That we'll see. That we will see here. Now, here hydrogen is having partial positive charge, F is having negative charge. Between them, hydrogen bonding is possible. Due to hydrogen bonding, HF2 minus is existing. But HCl, if you see, here partial positive, here hydrogen bonding is not possible. Hydrogen bonding is not possible. Therefore, HCl2 minus is not existing. HCl2 minus is not existing because no hydrogen bonding. HF2 minus existing because of hydrogen bonding. HF2 minus existing because of hydrogen bonding. HCl2 minus is not existing because of because no hydrogen bonding. Okay. Therefore, NaHF2 is existing, whereas NaHCl2 is not existing. Here, hydrogen bonding, due to hydrogen bonding, HF2 minus is existing. HCl2 minus is not existing because hydrogen bonding not present. Sir, next point we will see. Now we will take a formic acid. We will take formic acid. I will take formic acid. Formic acid I have taken. Formic acid formula is what in the sense HCOOH. Formic acid formula. This formic acid we will write like this. This formic acid we will write like this. In vapor state we will take like this. Sir, in vapor state we have taken like this. Then in liquid state we will see. In liquid state we are writing formic acid like this. Okay, formic acid we are writing in liquid state. Here also we will write formic acid in liquid state. Here in vapor state we have written. Sir, now this is having partial positive charge, it is having partial negative charge, therefore between them hydrogen bonding is possible. It is partial negative charge, it is partial positive charge, between them hydrogen bonding is possible. Due to hydrogen bonding, it exists as a dimer. In vapor, distance between them is high, therefore hydrogen bonding is not possible, therefore it is existing in monomeric form only, not dimeric form. Here no hydrogen bonding. Between them hydrogen bonding is not possible. Between them hydrogen bonding is possible. Due to hydrogen bonding, it is existing as dimer. Sir, now we will see because of hydrogen bonding what happens, that we will see. Now this C double bond O, this bond length is 1.25 angstrom. 1.25 angstrom. This C double bond O, this bond length is 1.22 angstrom. This C double bond O bond length is 1.22 angstrom. This C double bond O bond length is 1.25 angstrom. Now here hydrogen bonding is possible, here no hydrogen bonding. Here bond length is CO bond length is low, here CO bond length is high. What is the reason? That we will see. Here this oxygen is making double bond with the carbon. Here oxygen is making double bond with the carbon. This oxygen makes some partial bond with hydrogen. Here, oxygen is having partial negative, hydrogen is having partial positive. Here, bond is produced means oxygen contributing electron cloud because hydrogen is having partial positive charge. Oxygen is contributing means oxygen is giving some electron cloud to this hydrogen for hydrogen bonding. Because of that, this oxygen gets less electron cloud. Therefore, here electron cloud is less amount. Here electron cloud amount is less. Here electron cloud amount is more. Since the electron cloud is less, attraction is less here. Attraction less here in the sense bond length is high. Here electron cloud is more, therefore attraction is more, therefore bond length is less. Okay. Therefore, what we are saying means in this case, more electron cloud is present. More electron cloud is present. In this case, less electron cloud is present. Less electron cloud is present. Actually, it is a double bond. It is also double bond only. But this oxygen has made hydrogen bonding with this hydrogen. Therefore, here electron cloud amount decreases. Here probability of electron cloud becomes less. Here probability of electron cloud becomes more. Therefore, here attraction is less. Here attraction is more. Therefore, bond length is less, bond length is more. So, because of hydrogen bonding, bond length gets varied. Bond length is varied. Sir. Next, we will see here this OH bond length. We will see this OH bond length is 0.96 angstrom. This OH bond length is 0.96 angstrom. Here OH bond length is 1.07 angstrom. Here OH bond length is 0.96 angstrom. Here OH bond length is 1.07 angstrom. Okay. Here bond length is less. Here bond length is high. Sir. Now we will see here bond length is less in the sense. Here bond length is less in the sense. What is the reason? We will see. So now here bond length is less. That means more attraction. More attraction in the sense more electron cloud. Set. Here bond length is high. That means less attraction. That means less electron cloud. Okay. So here bond length is high when compared to this. So here attraction is low when compared to this. Here electron cloud is low when compared to this because of hydrogen bonding. So due to hydrogen bonding, here OH bond length is high, here OH bond length is low. That we can say. Sorry. So now next we will see hydrogen bonding continuation. We will see water exists as a liquid at room temperature. H2S exists as gas at room temperature. H2S exists as gas at room temperature. Water exists as a liquid at room temperature. Sir, what is the reason? Water makes hydrogen bonding. Water goes for hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonding is possible here. But H2S is not making hydrogen bonding. H2S is not making hydrogen bonding. Here hydrogen bonding not possible. Here hydrogen bonding possible. Because of hydrogen bonding, it exists as liquid. It is not existing as liquid. It is gas. H2S gas at room temperature because no hydrogen bonding. H2O is liquid because of a hydrogen bonding. Like this we can say. So due to hydrogen bonding, what happens to the properties? What happens to the properties that we have seen? So now we will see properties of ionic compounds, covalent compounds, and coordinate covalent compounds. That we will see. These three compounds we will discuss. Sir. Now we will take a ionic compounds. We will take ionic compounds. Ionic compounds exist as do not exist as discrete molecules. Ionic compounds do not exist as discrete molecules. Do not exist as discrete molecules. Do not exist as discrete molecules. Whereas covalent compounds exist as discrete molecules. Covalent compounds exist as discrete molecules. Okay. So covalent compounds existing as discrete molecules, whereas ionic compounds do not exist as discrete molecules. What is the reason? Sir, how the ionic compounds will be there? For example, if you take sodium chloride, in sodium chloride, sodium ions and chloride ions will be arranged like this. In sodium chloride, sodium ions and chloride ions will be arranged in this way. Now, if you see, this Na plus is attracted by surrounding Cl minus ions. Similarly, Cl minus ion is attracted by surrounding Na plus ions. So, the Cl minus is attracting this right side Na plus, left side Na plus, above Na plus, below Na plus, this side Na plus, rear side Na plus, like this. But if we take a covalent molecule, for example, we will take a methane. Methane we are taking. This is one molecule. This is another molecule. It is another molecule. Within the molecule, covalent bonding is there. Between two molecules, within the molecule, covalent bonding is there. Between two molecules, what is there? Weak van der Waals force is there. Weak van der Waals force is there. So within this molecule, covalent bonding is there. Within this molecule, covalent bonding is there. But between two molecules, van der Waals force is there. That is weak. But here, if you see, this side electrostatic force of attraction. This side electrostatic force of attraction. What is the strength of electrostatic force of attraction? This side, same this side. Here also electrostatic force of attraction. Here electrostatic force of attraction. Below Cl minus, rear side of Cl minus, electrostatic force of attraction with Na plus. This front also electrostatic force of attraction with Na plus. So Cl minus is making a electrostatic force of attraction with not one Na plus, many Na plus. This Cl minus is making electrostatic force of attraction with many Na plus. Then how to say NaCl is a discrete molecule? On all the directions, equivalent amount of force is there, same nature of force is there. But here if you see, within this covalent bonding, between them van der Waals force. So type of intermolecular force is varied. Here van der Waals force means weak. Therefore, this is one molecule, this is one molecule. It is separate, it is separate. Okay, so covalent molecules means discrete molecules possible. Ionic compounds in the sense discrete molecules not possible. Sir. Next, we'll see melting point and boiling point. Ionic compounds means melting point will be high, boiling point will be high because of electrostatic force of attraction. That means melting point or boiling point means we have to break all these electrostatic forces of attraction, then only it will melt, otherwise evaporate. Okay, therefore melting point is high, boiling point is high. But covalent compounds means you have to break this van der Waals force, that's all. Break this van der Waals force, then solid is converting into liquid, liquid is converting into vapor. We need not break this covalent bond. Covalent bond breaking is not required. Only this between molecules van der Waals force is there, no? Intermolecular force is there, no? That only we have to break. Then solid will convert into liquid, liquid will convert into vapor. Therefore, covalent compounds means how the melting and boiling points will be there means melting point will be high, will be low for covalent compounds. So for covalent compounds, melting point is low and boiling point is low. So for covalent compounds, melting point is low, boiling point is low. But for ionic compounds, melting point is high, boiling point is high. Sorry. So for ionic compounds like this we said. Okay. Next, we'll see. Ionic compounds dissolve in polar solvents. Ionic compounds dissolve in polar solvents. Dissolve in polar solvents. Okay, why? Because polar solvent example we will take water. Water is a polar solvent. It exists as a dipolar species. Oxygen partial negative, here partial positive. Therefore, it is a dipole. This will attract ionic compound. Ionic compounds will attract this polar. But covalent compounds attraction with the polar is less. Therefore, ionic compounds dissolve in polar solvents to higher extent. Ionic compounds dissolve in polar solvents to higher extent. What about covalent compounds? In covalent compounds also two possibilities there. Polar molecules are there, non-polar molecules are there. In covalent compounds, two types of molecules are there. Polar covalent compounds, non-polar covalent compounds. Polar covalent compounds dissolve in polar solvents because of attraction. Non-polar covalent compounds dissolve in non-polar solvents. Okay, sir. Polar covalent compound. We will take a example. We will take polar covalent compound example in the sense a dipole moment should be there. If a dipole moment is there, then it is polar covalent compound that will dissolve in polar solvent. Non-polar covalent compounds in the sense that is having dipole moment 0, no dipole moment, that will not dissolve in polar solvents, dissolve in non-polar solvents. So remember that like dissolves like. So polar substance dissolve in polar solvent, non-polar substance dissolve in non-polar solvent. Like this we have to consider. Sorry, okay. Next, conduction of electricity that we will see. These ionic compounds. In the solid state, ions will be closely packed. Strong force of attraction will be there. Ions are not free. Therefore, in solid state, they do not conduct electricity. But in molten state, ions are freely moving. Therefore, they will conduct electricity. But in aqueous solution, ions are freely moving. Therefore conducting electricity. So ionic compounds in solid state, ions will be closely packed. Therefore, they do not carry current. They do not carry electricity. But in molten state, ions free to move. Therefore, they will carry current. In aqueous solution, ions are free. Therefore, they will carry current. They will carry electricity, we can say. Okay, so like this it is there. So what about these covalent compounds? Covalent compounds in the sense generally they do not carry current. They do not carry current. Then these ionic compounds do not exhibit isomerism, but covalent compounds exhibit isomerism. Here isomerism not possible. Here in covalent compounds in the sense isomerism is possible. Isomerism is possible, sir. So we discussed about ionic compounds properties and covalent compounds properties we discussed. What about coordinate covalent compounds? That we'll see. Coordinate covalent compounds means that is having dative bonds. Coordinate covalent compounds means that is having dative bonds. For these compounds, how the melting and boiling points will be there means in between ionic compounds and covalent compounds. Then what about their solubility in the sense if it is having polarity, then it will dissolve in polar solvent. Like this it will be there. Then this coordinate covalent compounds do not carry current, do not conduct electricity. So this is about properties of ionic covalent and coordinate covalent compounds. Okay. Next. Now to discuss shapes of covalent compounds, then bond angle, bond length. We used valency bond theory. In the beginning,